Let me guess, you try and stack a few dollars. You ain't trying to blow it all, you need financial knowledge. Need some tips on your taxes, so the IRS ain't bending you backwards. Well, you're in luck, you tuned into the master, Wendy Consultant.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wendy with an I podcast, powered by Wendy Consulting LLC. I have a special guest hailing from Jacksonville, but she's originally from Trenton, New Jersey. Her name is Allegra.
Yay. Great
Welcome.
city. Thank you for having me, Wendy.
I met Allegra a couple weeks ago after I did a live on Wendy Wednesdays, and she booked an appointment with me, and I talked with her. And after I heard her story, I was like, you have to be on my podcast because you're like a jack of all trades. And I was just so impressed and just so impressed. So she went to school at Atlanta Technical College and majored in marketing. And let me tell you what she's doing, because this is kind of like, it's a slight flex. Like, she has one C corp, one LLC, and then she also has a startup that she's about to start. So this girl is doing a whole lot, and it's so impressive, like what she's been doing in her resume. And I just was like, I can't like not have you on here telling your story, 'cause it's just way too inspiring to not like need to hear it. So I'll start off with, my quote of the day, and this one is coming from Jada Pinkett Smith, and it's, "You've got to be happy in your own skin." I feel like that's so important in so many different ways because unfortunately, in the world that we live in, we've been taught and kind of brainwashed to condition yourself to be, show colorism, and there's a classism issue based on the color of your skin. And it's unfortunate because, especially African American people, black is beautiful. You're gorgeous if you're high yellow or if you're darker than a plum. Like, it doesn't matter, you're beautiful. But for some reason, little brown girls, when they grow up, somebody tells them that they're not cute, and they just hold on to it, and they have self-esteem issues, and it really affects how they think. So, what do you think about that?
I completely agree with you, Wendy. I mean, some of the biggest challenges I've had in business as a Black entrepreneur, Black woman in business is just not really seeing myself represented as much in business when I needed to gain resources and get mentors to help me. I had to really dig and find other African American women that were out there, doing the work. And that really honestly motivated me a lot. But, we're in a time where people are actually doing more about exposing, what's available for Black women when it comes down to things, and mostly because of the movement that's going on, because of the fact that, as women, if you look at the statistics, we are growing as the number one providers for jobs.
Yes, and when you were there, Black women have more education, so they're likely to have a master's or a doctorate, and they're also more likely to be an entrepreneur. And I feel like I checked that box. I just got my master's in last December, and I'm like,
congratulations! I know.
I just started a business. I'm like, check, check, check. So
and then you made a good point as far as you getting your education. I have a lot of friends that went and got their master's, but they never took the step to actually take it to the next level of having their own business. So, I completely, applaud you for doing the work, because it is hard work. Nothing is easy about any of it as a woman. Being in the industry and being an entrepreneur and raising children and taking care of home, that all is included in the process. So
it's like Black women have to be superwoman. Like I think about back when I was in grad school. I did grad school for 2.5 years. When I started grad school, my son was how was Blake? He was either 2 or 3, because the goal was to be done by grad school before he started kindergarten. And so starting kindergarten, I was going to be in my last semester. So it would be me like fully transitioning, fully able to, do everything for him. But then I thought I was working full time. I was doing my sorority full time. Then my uncle passed away, and I was like helping my dad with this like estate. And it was just all this stuff. And I didn't realize how burnt out I was. And like, you know, how Black women, we're like, we'll be very stretched thin, but nobody will know. And I didn't realize and how like tired I was until it got to the end of the year. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing anything in 2020. And I didn't realize I really wasn't going to be doing absolutely anything in 2020 because of the pandemic.
Mhm.
But I just told myself I needed a break. I just feel like black women in general, we do a lot and we wear a lot of different hats. And you know, I'm a segue into saying that because I want you to tell the people about yourself, about your, you know, like your life and what you're doing, because it's very interesting and you wear so many different hats. And I just, you know, you got to kind of tell people how you find that balance and everything like that. So, you know, take it away.
Yeah, it definitely is a lot included in that. So it has to always start with passion. I believe whatever you do, whoever, you know, wherever you are in your walk of life, it has to start with a passion, either a passion for, you know, changing lives, or a passion for um, making money, or whatever it is. You have to have a passion for it. As a Black woman in this lifetime, I have actually, you know, become stronger because of the challenges that I've gone through in business. And I think that that has been a really big thing for me, to strive to get to my bigger goal, which is basically, you know, changing the mind frame of a lot of women in the world. Um, Part of it is making a difference in the world to leave a legacy for me.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, you know, when I first started in business, I knew I would be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know how. Um, I wanted to have a career, but I didn't want to work for anyone. So,
I was so different. I knew that I wanted a career and I knew I wanted to be my own person and I was very free spirited. So I knew like, I don't know, I told myself, it's so funny when I got out of school, I was like, yeah, I can only see myself doing this about 10 years. I just can't see myself in the office. Like this ain't my life. Like this ain't it. And I literally am like really
right.
up on 10 years. I started working in '09 and we, you know, it's 2020. I'm a little bit off of my year, but I'm very close to it. So
Yeah, but I kind of started off early, the same passion you have, the same drive. I kind of started that early on. And I want to say, I don't want to give my age away, but in 2004 is when I started, you know, getting out into the work field, bartending. My first job was being a bartender. I started working that job for free.
oh
You
no,
know,
nothing comes
I
nothing comes from bartending and being in the club scene. Nothing comes from that.
No, it was very odd because I've always kind of followed my heart and my drive. Even though people tell you, you know, don't do that, don't do this, you know, like no one lives your life. No one knows
Yes,
what you go through. No one knows
love
what you
that.
feel.
That is, I love that you said that, Allegra. Like, I just feel like some people think that you really have to go the beaten path, like, you know, like Little Red Riding Hood, like you can't go off, you know, like, but you really can. Like, this is your life, like your legacy, what you do, like you designed that. And so, if you want to go backpack for a year and a half in Europe and like find your husband there or something, and then come back and do like that's your business. Like, you don't have to like go to school, have the
Hmm. Hmm.
husband, buy the house with the white picket fence, and then have the babies 2 years apart and travel the world
No,
at 45 and all this other stuff. Like you don't have to have that type of life.
I think that that's part of a brainwashing technique
Yeah.
because in our country, we are, you know, they thrive off of capitalism, which, you
Yeah.
know, of course, you have to have people working for other people in order to keep that going, right? Because, I mean, we can all be entrepreneurs, but it doesn't really feed that cipher of capitalism. So, the way that our government has it set up. So, you know, the biggest thing for me is I think that as far as when we're figuring out what we want to do in life, the biggest thing is, like you said, no one can determine what decisions you need to make for yourself. And from what I have done in the past, which has been a little bit unorthodox. Sometimes people tell you don't do it, and then you do it and it fails, and then you doubt yourself, and then you second guess yourself. But
No, people don't realize
following your heart.
Yes, I was about to say that when you have that doubt, you
Following your heart.
to throw that doubt away and just say go with it, because I feel like if you follow your heart, your intuition, God is not ever going to fail you because you're following your path. Like you're not worried about what's going on around you. You're following what you were designed to do. And so if you do that, like God's always going to take care of you. But it's like when
Absolutely.
you do that doubt and stuff, because like me, like I literally did an affirmation when I was like, I was like, I want to manifest Wendy Consulting LLC. Like I want to be an entrepreneur. And literally like a week later, my job decided they were closing and they're going back to the UK. And I was just like, well, look at that, stepping out on faith. I guess I'll be
Mm-hmm.
into this job in the spring, like, and it's just like,
Yeah.
it's like confirmations that continue to happen. Like, okay, I'm going, I'm doing fine. Like everything, like just
Yep.
even this podcast, I had no desire to do a podcast. Like, it wasn't even on my radar. And then I met with somebody
Mm-hmm.
like, you should think about it. It's a good marketing tool. And I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? It is.
Well,
And
I mean, you have to go with what the industry needs. Like people are now looking at videos, they're watching people. So it's not enough to post about stuff. You have to engage with your audience, which is what podcasting does. And, as far as, and I'm trying to get back to what I was saying before when it came down to following your own destination in your journey, you said a key word, which was manifestation.
yeah.
You have to manifest everything that you want in your life. A big thing about that is affirmations. Throughout my entire life, I have affirmed things through not just words, but through thoughts. You can say things a lot, but if you don't actually think and believe it.
And that's the thing. Like, so see, like it's just like it's people who be like, I believe in God. You say it,
Mm-hmm.
but do you really like in your darkest time?
Mm-hmm.
Do you talk to her? Do you talk to him? Do you talk to him when you're happy?
Right.
When you're sad? Do you talk to him when you're just confused? Do you just say God? Like I had an affirmation that I did every morning, and I mean I know about. I mean it's an affirmation I know by heart, but it's just, I always tell God, continue to guide me in the right direction. I know that it may not make sense or I understand it, but I'm just gonna follow it because I know that you got me.
Mm-hmm.
That's an affirmation that I said every day. And
Mm-hmm.
even when there's times that I question things like, really, why are you doing this to me? I still was talking to him. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you have to, when you like, when you got, and even like, for an example, when people be like, oh, I want a good husband or I want a wife. But what are you doing to get that wife or husband or girlfriend or boyfriend? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you eating clean?
Mm-hmm.
Are you,
Mm-hmm.
is your money right? Is your mind right? Are you
Mm-hmm.
open to a vulnerability? Like, what are you doing to accept that type of
Yeah.
love? Because everybody always tells you what they want, but they're not willing to prepare themselves for it. And that's the
Well,
big,
yeah, because they don't really want it. And
yeah,
that's the
they
thing.
think
Just
it's
like
cute. It's just like a puppy. You don't really want the puppy. You just like it's cute and fluffy.
it's like the shiny, was it the shiny something syndrome where you
Oh,
see
I
it
know.
and it's all great and you're like, oh, I want it, but you don't really want it. Like you're not going to pay that money, right?
Right.
So yeah, so a lot of this has to do with manifesting your goals, having a passion to start with for something that you want to do, and then implementation. Like honestly, my biggest challenge throughout building my businesses wasn't the idea phase. The idea phase was easy. Getting the ideas on paper and trying to do the research and development and planning stages, that started to get more difficult. The hardest part was actually doing the work. Because when you are passionate about something, you may not always know how to put it in play. And
So,
that sometimes.
that was something good that you said. I apologize. So okay, so tell the people what. So I was messing with you when I was talking about bartending because I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
nothing ever comes from going to school and learning cocktails and bartending. And I was doing that to be funny because I wanted you to. I knew that you were going to explain what you were doing. So I need you to tell the people one of your
Mm-hmm.
business because it has something to do with bartending. That's why I was making.
Gotcha. Okay, I see where you're going. So anyway, thank you, Wendy. So when I started out, of course, I started out wanting to be an entrepreneur. Bartending was a field that I got into, but what I ended up finding was that it was a industry you get stuck in. You get older, you go to the country club, you see all these old guys serving, cocktails to these like rich folks. And like my thing was, well, where do I go from here? I love this industry. I love what I'm doing. I have passion for it, and I love making people happy.
Right.
So how can I use this um, towards my future goals? which was, well, I want to be an entrepreneur. So, I want to say, because that was in 2004, I started bartending. So by 2007, I had a plethora of experience. And then I started to do side events like, hey, I'll do your party here, I'll do your party there. If you're having a Super Bowl party, if you're having a birthday party, I'll gladly bartend. And it kind of just started to spiral out of control from there, because then it was like, I would need more bartenders. So once that started happening, then collectively, I obtained a group of bartenders, and we just started traveling to do events across. At that time, I was living in Atlanta, Georgia. So when you have something that turns into a passion, like I said, into something that you can see can make a profit for you, then bless you. You're fine. To something that makes a profit for you, then that's where you have something that works. But what I find is a lot of people do have a passion, but their passion doesn't make any money. So,
and people, listen. You have got to have common sense. When I was in high school, I knew that I wanted to be in finance. And first of all, I knew I wanted to do accounting because I did my research and I saw how much money people made. Y'all gotta listen, it's cute and all to have passions, but you gotta understand, if y'all are gonna go to a 4-year college, and I'm talking about like, if you're not just gonna pursue your passion out of high school, if you're gonna go into school to get debt, then go to school for something that you can get a career job out of, and not, have to go work and do something completely out of your field because you couldn't make any money. So that's why I said, like, when y'all pick these majors, you got to understand, if you're not going to really pursue it out of like making it full circle, like manifesting it all the way through, then get something that you can make money doing, like in like engineering, accounting, the STEM stuff, technology, coding, stuff like this. They're always going to have roles for. So.
Yeah, exactly. And the biggest thing about bartending is that because it was a passion for me, it followed me throughout my whole career. I worked in I still worked jobs. I still, worked for a Fortune 500 company as a marketing assistant. I still, worked on the side as a bartender throughout that whole time until 2007. So it wasn't that I was just a bartender. I still worked jobs. I still saved my money to invest into my business idea, because it didn't come out of nothing. You have to have something to invest into your business. So, coming to that point after 2007, that's just kind of the phase where I was learning how to travel with my bartenders and understand what that all looked like as a business. How do I incorporate this as something that people look at and say, can I hire them? And that would be something that's open to and exposed to a broader audience, right? Like, how do I get this in the hands of people who really need it? So that's when a lot of the research and development for marketing and getting resources for my business came into play. And that's when I actually started to incorporate it. So that was when I did the sole proprietorship, and then went from there. So 2015 was actually when it was incorporated.
So I'm gonna say, I think it's really cool because you actually started, like, so people understand, like, you don't have to start a business and go straight to as an LLC. Like, you can really start it as a sole proprietor, like she was saying, and then kind of build up and transition through. The problem is when people get stagnant and they just stay in the sole proprietor and you don't pursue it further, because the IRS is only going to give you a couple of years, and if you don't, change it to an LLC, you can operate it as a business.
Well, now that you mentioned that, what's really funny about that, Wendy, is that I didn't start Cocktail Fusion as Cocktail Fusion.
Oh, you didn't?
My bartending service, it started as Cocktail Classics as a sole proprietorship. And I actually stopped service for, I want to say about, I started doing the work 2007 sole proprietorship. And then by 2008, I had, 2009, I had paused for that year. Because sometimes in business, you may have to pivot. Sometimes you may have to change some things and say, hey, that was working then, but it's not working now. Look at numbers.
It's called re-strategizing. Like, sometimes people gotta re-strategize. Sometimes what you're doing ain't working, or it might be working, but you need to do something where you're not working as hard, or figure out a better resource. What's the old saying? Work smarter, not harder. Like, trying to
Yes.
solve it so that you don't have to work as hard. So yeah, I totally get it.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
Yep.
I took 7 months out off from my business
Yeah, it's
because
necessary
it was
because
hard during COVID. It was hard to work. So
we're human beings
yeah,
and we have to remember that. And I think that the biggest thing that we get caught up in business is trying to do it like everyone else. And it really isn't about that. It's really about you building, for me, a legacy. But for whoever is out there looking to start a business or to prosper in that way of life, you need to be go with your passion and just be very vigilant about following that passion, no matter what comes into play in your life.
yeah.
So that's the biggest thing for me.
I think okay. So you have bar teams, which is where you've already explained what that is when you're working with
Mhm.
bartenders and cocktail, and I forgot what is the other people, the
So Cocktail Fusion is the bartending service, and we do a lot of events when it comes down, especially weddings. We get a lot of brides that call us. People do not do wedding planners anymore like they used to. So we get a lot of those calls from brides like, can you help me plan my wedding? I need a bartender. But then, they're the ones planning their entire wedding on their own. So it has been a huge opportunity for us to build off of that as a business. We're not just bartenders. We actually work very closely with our clients. And that just comes with time. So that's Cocktail Fusion. And then we also do other events, corporate events, birthday parties, graduation, baby showers, things like that. We also started to pivot too with that business because of COVID, right? Like we can't
right.
go out and do as much work as we used to do. So pivoting from that, we have to go virtual. So we're like, okay, so now we have to talk to clients about doing virtual sip and shops. How can we create a cocktail for you while you're presenting your clothes on Instagram Live, right?
Yeah,
Like you're
yeah. That's actually what I will say. One thing that COVID has done, it has revolutionized people's thinking, especially with technology. Like people have started doing a lot more that they never thought that they could do in online. You know, online.
it's
Like
created a huge division. It's either you learn more or you get left behind. I work with like I started let's startup AJ CEO. So I started to work with people on a small scale, not a large scale, right?
right,
Independently. But from my past experiences working with people in their business, some people do not like change. Some people do not catch up with the times as much, and that's why their businesses fail. So sometimes it really is just a matter of like COVID's here.
right.
You see a lot of empty buildings. They weren't able to pivot and they didn't
Listen,
forecast that 10
listen.
years
Let me
ago.
tell you, I don't think y'all understand economics, people, because I'm gonna give you like a real quick snapshot. If I know y'all seen on TV because the news was all over it. It was companies closing and shutting down, and that COVID had only been going on for like 2 weeks. That meant that those people were horribly in the hole already as a company, and they probably were having loans and stuff just to stay afloat. And when they got hit with COVID, it shut them down to a point where they could not recover. So you got to think about all those big companies, corporations that got shut down. Like you would think, how is a corporation, you know, able to stay steady, and then they got to shut down their doors after closing for 2 weeks? And it's because they were already struggling. They probably already were filing
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 11s and
Mm-hmm.
like trying to figure their company out and closing down stores. And then this happened, and it just made them have to accelerate it. So I agree. I'm in Richmond, and I see nothing but like I'm over here looking at spaces because I have an idea for a startup. I'm
Yes.
over here walking around
Yes.
looking at places because there's so many places now, especially in Jackson Ward, which is historically like a historic African American community. I'm looking at a business
Mm.
in Jackson Ward, and there's so many empty spots. Like it's just like y'all, this is the time. Like I'm telling you, if you have a business that you're interested in,
Mm-hmm.
and you have some type of 401k, or you have a house that you can borrow against for equity, like this is the time to invest
Absolutely.
in yourself and put that money into it and just go ahead, especially if you have a great idea.
Mm-hmm. And stocks. I've invested in stocks recently. That has been
What
a
are
big,
you,
well, I
what are
mean,
you
it's
investing in?
starting to kind of
So you know what this is called? Having a diverse portfolio. So what are you investing in? Because I just bought some stock 2 days ago. So what are you newly
Well,
investing?
I think I was talking to you before about a little bit, but I just reinvested in Apple.
Oh yeah, you did.
No,
Listen,
I know they're not gonna.
Apple. Listen, I have a Droid, but I love I don't use anything but Apple products. So I have like a MacBook. I can never have another PC, but I can't get the iPhone. Like it's just so basic to me. And Droid allows you to be more
Yeah,
personalized and more free spirited with the phone. But
yeah.
Apple had something where, for Apple had split stocks before, but it had been years, I think since like the 90s or maybe
I
the
probably
90s.
won't even. Yeah, I won't even expect the split stock. I
Well,
gave
that's the
that
thing
up.
I'm saying is that they split stock in September. So when I found out they were doing it, I bought like 10 more shares because I was like, it's gonna split. It's gonna 10 times 4 is 40. So I'm buying it right now, but it's gonna split. And you gotta understand Apple ain't gonna do nothing but continue to go up. And so
Yep.
Apple is just one of those things. Like I have Microsoft stock too, all the way up. All it does is continue to go up.
Yes.
I don't even look at it because
Yes.
I know it's going up. And I had
Travel. A lot of the travel companies I'm starting to invest into as
I
well.
I went to Airbnb. Like I'm waiting for them to go. They haven't released their stock yet, so they haven't had their IPO yet. But I'm waiting, and that's one that I'm looking at. I just bought Amazon. I said I wasn't going to buy Amazon, but I was like, forget it. Let me go ahead and just get a couple of stocks because it ain't gonna do nothing but go up, continue to go up. And I
Well,
bought.
I mean, Amazon's good. Amazon has they're the leader in data. So
Listen, say it again for the people in the back. Amazon and Google. Y'all
okay.
gotta pay attention to these people.
So I want to tell everyone in listening to us right now, if you have data, you have power. I don't care where you are in life. If you have data, you have power. And Amazon holds the most data.
You know who's the other person who holds the most data? The United States federal government. So y'all,
Well, they're trying to hold more data. They're trying to take over Google and Facebook.
Why y'all think that is? Come on, y'all. Why y'all think that is? Y'all still think it's only 12% of us in the country? Come on now, pay attention. Y'all better pay attention to things. Listen, you have to ask yourself certain things that don't make sense. How are we 12% of the country's population, but we spend over $1 billion in products and services? Like that doesn't even make sense, especially because if you know what I know, you know that Black people don't make as much as Caucasian, Hispanics, and other races. So how is it that we
That's
got
a fact.
how we got all this money to spend, but we only 12% of why do people pander on Black African American votes if we only 12% of the population? Because we're not. We are more than that.
Yep.
That's why Black females make the decision on who will become something. Why do you think that they have all of these ways to try to oppress Black people from voting? It's because we make up so much of the population. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. But yeah, the federal government got more information with their census and everything else that they be trying to get from people to see how many people.
Oh yeah, they just came on my block not that long ago, twice. I said, you just came by my house. Oh, we got to make sure we got all the data.
Yeah, they want to make sure they triple double check because you in Jacksonville. There ain't nothing but Black people in Jacksonville.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's a lot of Black people here, which is really why
a lot of Black people. My mom lives there. Well, my mom lives in Orange Park, but it's a lot of Black people.
Well, it's large. It's a lot of land. It's a lot of land. It's a lot of areas for people to live on.
So Jacksonville is the largest city in the United States by land. Like it takes about 40
land mass
into the other. And I didn't understand. And how I found that out? I was flying into Jacksonville, and that was one of the fun facts at the airport. The flight, it'll tell you something fun about the city, and I was like, Jacksonville that damn big? And I was like, it really is though, because my mama stay on one side, and then when you crawl across the bridge to go to the avenue and stuff like that stuff is way.
There's 7 bridges. I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, it's a lot.
And it's I just love being in Jacksonville because Jacksonville isn't really it's Florida, but it ain't really Florida because it's 30 minutes from Georgia. It ain't, so it's a heavy Georgia influence in Florida.
It's it's like a northern type. Yeah,
it's real ratchet. I love it. I love it. This reminds me of Atlanta people, but they got a little bit more country because they from Florida and they talk a lot slower. But yeah,
well, it's funny because before I moved to Jacksonville, I never knew it existed. I didn't know anything. I was I was working for a marketing firm, and he was like, "Can you open up an office for us in Jacksonville?" And I'm like, "Pay me what I want, and I'll do whatever you need, right?" I
Yeah,
go
I
to
know. Listen,
Jacksonville.
you saying the coins, honey. I can open up whatever you need me to open up as long as them checks clear. Okay.
As
Yeah.
long as the money's right. And I come down here and I'm like, where am I? Like, I'm in the Twilight Zone. It
Yeah,
just
it is
felt
a little bit
very
different
weird.
down there because when I had told my mama I ain't never seen people sell like Donald Trump stuff because I'm in Virginia, we don't play that. Like you doing what? Especially in Richmond, you doing what? Like
Yeah, yeah,
because where we at? It's just that it ain't. It's just ain't that part. It's not that area. But if you go 2 hours away in Virginia, that's all it is Trump supporters because they're all in the
yeah,
they're in the Twilight Zone. They're still living in the 70s, like the 60s.
yeah,
They're not with the technology. They're still back in the day. So you're right, it is a Twilight Zone. But when I was in
yeah.
Jacksonville, I mean, they be having like these huge, like it was over there by like a Walmart or something or a Target. They had like this huge
Mhm.
banners and Trump stuff and it's Trump flags and all kind of craziness in people's yards. And I'm just looking like, this is crazy.
It's still very segregated in a lot of different ways when it comes to the mindset. I feel like that is where a lot of us need to start paying attention to our mental health and really
So
looking at
the people in Jacksonville are like that. And you got Jacksonville is like the most ratchetest place. Like
it's
it's so black. Like I don't know. You got the Jaguars that play there. You have you got I know City Bank is there. You have the Naval
mm-hmm,
Base that's sitting right
mm-hmm,
there, US
mm-hmm,
Jacks, and then it's something else
mm-hmm.
that's there. But I'm just like it's so black. Like I just
It's just
in
it's
the
really
beaches, you got the Jacksonville beaches and stuff like it's so black. Like I just
well, not at the beaches. You're gonna see a
really
lot of diversity at the beaches. Because everyone loves the water. Like
I know
probably depends on
water
what
is
day
just so
you go
freeing
to.
to everybody.
Yeah. So anyway, bottom line is that we were talking about something I think before when it came down to um, the pivoting your business virtually, getting back into this whole, you know, normalcy in a way,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, in the pandemic, and just, making sure that you're doing what you need to do to protect your mental health. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm going back to what we were saying, at the end of the day, I just believe that, what were we saying before? I didn't forgot. As we were talking, I didn't
I
forgot
know.
what we were saying now.
But here's because we gotta get ready to wrap up in a little bit. But let me say this real quick because I want you to say this because I don't know if we touched bases on two of your businesses. We did the startup. Did we do the C corp?
The C corp is Cocktail Fusion. That's the bartending service,
And then the
and
LLC.
then we have Simply Smart Text, which is a audio visual.
Yeah, that's what we haven't talked about. Yeah, talk about that one. I'm gonna say I want to make sure we touch.
So
It's so many y'all. We gotta touch bases on all.
well, and just so everyone knows, I don't operate this on my own. Like, I mean, of course, I have a team of people that I work
Say that one
with.
more time. Hold on. Say that one more time. You got a what?
I have a team of
Oh,
people
okay,
that
okay,
I work
okay.
with to
Yes,
make
everybody.
sure that things run smoothly.
Yes,
Things run smoothly, Yeah, starting with the internal development process, which your accountant, your lawyer, you're like everyone in your business that's going to help your business grow, and then your team members. So, for the Simply Smart Text, that is an audio visual company, and basically we do TV installations. We go out and set up home theater systems. We also do CCTV installations. And recently, we actually started to do smart home packages, which, a lot of our customers will call us and customize an entire smart home for their home. And then so by the end of their package, they have, automatic lights coming on in all the rooms, and everything's connected and everything's set up. So we've done a lot with that. But that's Simply Smart Text, and I don't do the work. I just sit back and watch the work on that one. So
Ain't that what people do when they go to their jobs? So they just watch the owners watch other people work for them,
I
make them money. Damn, don't you ever think you ain't ever started working, but like, I wish I could do this because you can. If you just go ahead and start it, you could be watching people
yes,
do your work for you too, and you can go and travel the world and be minding your business on the beach in Jacksonville while people doing your job.
absolutely.
Okay, so with that section, now you talked about all your businesses. To wrap up, what if you have some inspiring words for somebody who is listening to this sitting in an office or driving into work and they have an idea, but they on the fence still. They got a little bit of fear or anxiety of stepping out on faith. What would you tell them?
I would tell them something that I heard, I want to say Les Brown say. He's an old school motivational speaker. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about, don't let your dreams go to the grave, right? Don't let them die with you. So if you have a passion or a dream, like we were talking about before, no one can live that for you. No one can live your life for you. So you don't want to be that person at the end of your life saying, oh, I wish and I shoulda, coulda, woulda, because someone told you shouldn't or you couldn't. Right. And then that dream die with you when you could have actually been successful. So I would just tell people, just basically put fear in your heart about not accomplishing your dream, because at the end, it's going to die with you.
I agree. I listen, you can't, that's just like, when they tell you, like, you can't take the money with you when you die. Like, that's why it's good to spend and treat yourself and take care of yourself. There's just certain things that, when you get in that box, it's you in the box. You can't take the stuff with you into the next life. Like, it's just here. So why not?
Well, you want to leave something behind so that people can remember you.
Yeah, but I'm saying, why would you not want to manifest a dream or an idea that you've been thinking about since you were a kid, or since you were in college, or your homeboys, your homegirls, you feel like you can come together and do something? Why not? If you had an idea for houses, why not flip them? Step out, do, like, if you got if you can help people with credit repair, or, if you have an idea for some candles or some shea butter, or, a really good product to keep the frizz out my hair or something, why not do it?
And one last thing. Oh my gosh. One last thing. So this is one true message for people. Fear is something that holds us back. It's either fear of success or fear of failure, right? Yeah. But we broke down fear. The word means F, false, E, evidence, A, appearing, R, real. So if you fear anything, it's just false evidence appearing real. It's not real. Your fears are just things that are coming up in you because you either don't know what you're doing or you're not sure about it, but it literally is just not real. So if you fear not accomplishing that goal that you set in mind, or that dream that you have, just do it, like Nike.
I love that fear. False evidence appearing real. Yeah. Allegra, thank you so much for stopping.
Thank you.
And taking the time with me. I can't wait to meet you in person. Because I told you I go to Jacksonville very frequently because my mama there, and I just feel like I love surrounding myself or having somebody that is like-minded. And you are so knowledgeable. You are beautiful. You're smart, and you have it together. And that's why I say I have got to interview you. Like, every time I meet somebody that I'm intrigued with, I need other people to be intrigued by them too. Like, before we go ahead and give out like your handles and any information, like I do know that everything will be in the bottom of the description, but so we're on here, I like the people to plug themselves. So please, like, plug yourself.
Thank you. Well, okay. So, again, Allegra Jackson, you guys, I have Cocktail Fusion, which is a bartending service right now. If you're looking to do, if you have a business where you're trying to start and you have retail business, you want to sell some products, definitely link up with us, because we can help you, do that online, creating cocktails on your IG Live. Just go to our at Cocktail Fusion Cocktail Fusion on Instagram, at Cocktail Fusion on Facebook and Twitter as well.
Allegra, I want to say thank you again for joining me.
Thank you so much, Wendy.
Thank you.
Let me guess, you try and stack a few dollars. You ain't trying to blow it all. You need financial knowledge. Need some tips on your taxes, so the IRS ain't bending you backwards. Well, you're in luck. You tuned into the master, Wendy Consultant.